Batista vs. Randy Orton is the main event for the Go Home Raw show this Monday. And just think, had fans reacted differently to Big Dave's comeback, that would have been our WrestleMania main event this year. And instead, we get it for free on TV 6 days early. So we had the main event segment, which was Brock Lesnar and Paul Heyman coming out to confront The Undertaker, which ended in another beatdown of Brock Lesnar. Brock got sent over the top rope on top of the casket, because there was a casket at ringside. Undertaker popped up out of it. They had the Druids come out to bring the casket to the ring. And, I mean, Heyman and Lesnar stalled for about 6 weeks, I think, before they finally opened the casket. Nobody was inside. And Undertaker, through his trickery, he ended up being in the casket again later on. He did his little zombie sit-up. He came in the ring. He showed some fire, threw some punches at Brock. So Brock got sent over the top rope, on top of the casket, almost broke his neck. Not the first time that's happened since he came back. There's one more week to go, but this is the match that I have been most disappointed in. As underwhelming as the undercard has been as a whole, here, this is one of the main events. And out of every individual match, this is the one that I'm most disappointed in. The main event situation, they worked out by adding the stipulation that either Bryan or Triple H will be added to the main event. I think is really good. John Cena versus Bray Wyatt, I'm digging the build. But this has been a massive letdown. And I think a lot of that has to do with them going with the whole dead man, supernatural Undertaker, instead of some kind of hybrid dead man, big evil, badass character for the guy. There was a huge buzz when he showed up at that UFC show 3 years ago, and Brock walked right by him. Okay, Brock had just gotten his ass kicked. He lost his fight. Undertaker was there to watch his fight live. Michelle McCool was with him. And Brock is exiting the cage. The show is over. Undertaker's there being interviewed by Ariel Helwani. And everyone's seen the clip. The clip went viral, millions of hits. All Brock did, Brock never said a word. He walked right by The Undertaker, and The Undertaker's like, oh, you want to do it? You want to do it? That was it. And he was hoping to get a match with Brock at WrestleMania that year. But I remember there being such a big buzz around that. It was literally 5 seconds of Brock and him staring at each other, and Taker saying that. And look, Brock wanted to do the match. Undertaker, Vince McMahon wanted to do the match. Dana White wouldn't let him do it because he was under contract still with the UFC. If he had let Brock do the match, you think it would have been Undertaker popping up out of caskets and druids and hoods as the build-up to that match? Of course not. It would have been Brock, this is my yard, you think you're big and tough, coming from that world, you can't end the streak, you're going to rest in peace. And then they could have had some, pull-apart brawls, and it would have been huge. It would have been huge. Now, Brock's been out of UFC for a while. The luster really isn't there anymore, like when he first came back. I love Brock. I think he's a great character. He still feels special, largely because he only wrestles 3 times a year. Most of the time he's not on television. I guarantee you if Brock Lesnar was on television every week with the writing on this show, he would have been ruined a long time ago. So he's still special, but he doesn't have that outside appeal that he had. He doesn't have that box office appeal, I guess, that he had initially when he first came back. That's long gone now. But they still could have built this up as a fight, and they didn't do that. And I think that's hurt the match. Now, maybe it was done that way because Undertaker's too old, and he's too fragile, and they don't think he could handle it. I mean, it's been totally one-sided in the build-up so far. Even if they're afraid he's going to get hurt, and they don't want Brock to lay him out on TV, they still could have done the build-up differently, but, it's the same Lord of Darkness, smoke and souls stuff that we've seen before. Brock's different. They probably should have tried to make this more real and maybe play off their history together. Undertaker has never beaten Brock Lesnar in a match on pay-per-view. They've had 3 of them. But as we saw with the Undertaker Triple H match at WrestleMania 27, they don't want to acknowledge that period from 2000 to 2003 where Undertaker wasn't the dead man. On DVDs, on the network, that stuff is all there, but they're not going to go ahead in their build-up on television and put footage on television that shows the Undertaker being anything but the Undertaker that we see now. It's like it never happened. So the match may end up being awesome. I'm not saying it's going to be a crap match. As a matter of fact, I think this match could be one of the best matches on the entire show. Because I think Brock's going to go in there, and Brock's going to bump around for this guy like it's nobody's business, because Brock's actually very good at that. And Undertaker, say what you want about The Undertaker, I think when it's go time, he'll deliver. So I think they could have a very good match. But I have not been feeling this build-up at all. Aside from them playing off Undertaker's age, which I think is smart, and it makes sense, that I like, but I think this should have been built up more as a fight, and more of a personal issue between these two guys, instead of the same old Undertaker, let me come out and work my magic, and Brock can act scared, and he can, take some bumps, and that's really all there is to it. There really isn't much to this match. So Undertaker's going to deliver his final address to Brock Lesnar on the Go Home show this Monday. I don't know what else there is for him to say. He's kicked his ass every single time they've been in the ring together. I mean, maybe he'll come out and say, listen, for your own good, you may as well just stay home and forfeit the match. Because it's not like Brock stands a chance at WrestleMania anyway.